Welcome, welcome, welcome to this edition of Sagionic 1027. We are so glad that you decided to join us for yet another broadcast. And before we get started in introducing you to one of my dear, precious, treasured friends who also happens to be the co-founder of Be the Vessel Now, I would like to share with you a little bit about our program. So the word Sagionic means movement by movement in time. And if we look back in history, any time something needed to be changed or implemented in our society, there was a person who rose up in a movement. And from that came a movement. So Sagionic is movement by movement in time. But then if we take the word Sagion, singular, all by itself, it means carriers of wisdom. So our goal here at Sagionic 1027 is how do we take people who have functioned with a professional mindset, whether they've been business owners or not. Say, for instance, my husband. My husband has been in the same industry for 31 years. He's been at the same company for 25 years. Now that takes a lot of perseverance and tenacity, right? You're not calling in sick every other week, right? And so it's important to think, how can we take people who have walked in this mindset? How can we squeeze the goodness of wisdom out of them? And then how can their wisdom insight help another person? So all that to say, today our very special guest is my dear friend, Sandy Dolph. And Sandy has been in the same vocation for 25 years. And so to me, that says a lot. And she's going to share with you how she learned to navigate through her own world. And so, Sandy, today's program is all about you and the important factors that you think that people need to adopt and carry into their lives so that they can walk out success in wherever it is that they're placed. So, Sandy, what would you like to share with our viewers today?
Oh, well, I think to be really committed to what you're doing and to commit that to the Lord and to do everything as to unto Him. And so one of the things that my bosses have always said that I'm valued and that I have very good work ethics. And somehow my brothers and I all have had good work ethics. I think my parents instilled that into us. But I just really feel that just being really committed to what you're setting out to do in your job, in your situation, and doing it the best that you can with excellence. And that's one of the things that I do every morning before I go to work is I pray that the Lord would give me a spirit of excellence, that I would do my job to the best that I could possibly do and better. In Him, it's always the best. So, yeah,
So tell us what kind of industry you've been in over the years.
Well, I work for the Renton School District, and I started out there after my kids. I was a stay-at-home mom for 6 years until my kids went into school, and then I was asked the Lord, what can I do to find a job that I would be on the same work and schedule as they are in school when they went into school full time. And so I just went down to the school district office, and that there was a job posted, and they called me the next day to come in for an interview, and I had to put it together very quickly. And I needed letters of recommendation, and I hadn't worked for 6 years. So I got that job. It was very quick, and my start to working in the school district, and it was part-time. It was 200 days a year, which a full-time person works 260 days. And and then I got, this most of the summers off with them and all of their vacations and their breaks. So it was perfect for me. And it was working in an office as I worked with a lot of budgets and whatnot. I worked in that office for 7 years, and then it's funny because I used to be I had a lot of fear of man, and there were all of the executives worked on one side of the office building, and the regular just office people worked on the other side, and I felt very uncomfortable walking to the other side of the building because I didn't want to run into anybody. It's silly, but that's the way it was.
Yeah. So you were about to take us on to, you said 7 years, and then you were going to take us somewhere else. But before you take us somewhere else, because I would like you to share how in adopting what you shared, a spirit of excellency, right? And how that in doing that, how you continue to advance in your skill set, and how at the end of the day you were able to walk away. Wow, I really did that, right? So can you break those first 7 years down? Because being with a company for 25 years, that's huge. So break that down to those moments of, wow, I did it.
Yeah. Looking back, I recall I did not know very much about computers when I first came on board. It was, I didn't even know how to move things on the screen, to click and drag things. I did not know you could do that. I didn't know. So yeah, I forgot about those things. It was back when we didn't have IBMs, we had Macs, Macintoshes. And so yeah, it was a lot different. But I did take a lot of classes because I did want to better myself and learn things. And I enjoy learning new things. I don't like just being stagnant and not thinking, oh, I learned this and that's it. I don't need to learn anymore. I want to continue to learn. I want, that's a good lifestyle thing, and it keeps your brain active. And so anyway, I did take a lot of classes, just computer classes and classes that the school district offered. And
that's really wise, because you grabbed a hold of what you had access to. And that caused you to be stagnant and stay in the right position, right? Stay in the same position. Yeah. Is that what it did to you? Or would you like to share with our viewers what that enabled you to do?
Well, it did enable me to become very good at what I did. And when you come into a position, it's nice to find new ways of doing things better and faster and more efficient. And that's what I did. And people noticed that. And they respected me, and they looked up to me and were confident. They were confident in me and what my skill set was. And so then when I did decide to apply for a position on the other side of the building, I was known. People knew me and they knew my skill set. And so I applied for the job. It was a confidential position, and I did get it. So it was just
go ahead.
Kind of like an expansion of my current job into more. It was kind of like the big secretary over that department that I was working for.
Okay. And how did being in that next department, how did that boost your level of leadership, being able to navigate and multitask to greater degrees? Share how that basically empowered you.
Well, it was. I was like the head secretary in that position over those departments, and so it did. It was, I don't know. it was definitely a different level. Each new position that I had was a different level of responsibility.
Okay.
And so, when there's more responsibility, it's more, it definitely, you don't want to make big mistakes.
Yeah.
But
Then pressure.
yeah, yeah. But just also helping the other secretaries and coming together and just small group meetings to help collaborate and to share things that could help them in their positions to do better. And that, when there's communication, interdepartmental communication, and people know what we're all doing, there's, it's easier to do your job. So you're not asking somebody to do something that somebody else is already doing.
That's really good. I interviewed somebody a couple of weeks ago, and he said, it was Alpha Hayward. He said, it's not fair to be discouraged with someone if you've neglected to tell them the set rules or the set standard or what it is that you're expecting from them, right? It's not fair to be discouraged when you have failed as a leader to basically map out what it is that needs to be done.
Right.
So when you think of, here you were in position A, and now here you are in position B, which is definitely an advancement to you. Did you give yourself permission to celebrate? Yay! Look what I did today. Like, kind of the feeling you're driving home and even though you're not 21 years old anymore, you're driving home and you're like, I really am an adult, right? So I'm serious, because this is important. I think it's important that we learn to celebrate accomplishments, right? And because if you don't, then you're like, we're either beating ourselves down or we're being encouraged to continue to advance forward. So tell us what is it that you were able to do? Because it's going to look different for everybody, right? What is it that you were able to do in your advancement that encouraged you because you had chosen to partner with the spirit of excellency? Was there anything you like to wear anywhere? Anything you like to wear that was a form of encouragement to you?
Well, I did definitely have to dress up. That was one thing when I moved across to the other side of the building. It was,
Okay.
yeah, my clothing attire was more professional for sure. So, I don't know. I don't know that I really celebrated.
Okay, well, I celebrate you. Okay, okay, watch this. Let's do this. Okay, how could one choose to celebrate in a promotion? Because we're not in control of anybody else in the world. We're only in control of ourselves, right? Ourself and our minds. We're not in control of anybody else's mind. So what would you say to the former you, or what would you say to a person who worked really, really hard and now they got promoted to the next step? What would you say to them?
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. Yes, you deserve it.
Yeah. One of the gals that I interviewed yesterday, and she shared about Linda Green is her name, it was really cool because she goes, I'm good. I am good at what I do. I'm really good at what I do. And it was just so encouraging to hear her, because when, being in the field that you're in, you're not in a field that you could have a sloppy note paper and submit that. Okay, that's not your field you're in.
No.
You're in a field that everything must be just so, because in having it just so kind of like break that down, because in actuality, you are a superb administrative assistant, which is actually a gift in the Bible, but you're an executive administrative assistant, right? So share with us this phase 2, because I don't know how many phases we get to where you are now. Okay, so right now we're in phase 2. How long were you in phase 2, and what skills were developed in that phase before you were placed in the next phase?
Okay. Well, in phase 2, well, I did a lot of budgets, big budgets, and very detailed, and all of them are different. So I just expanded my my experience on working with budgets and contracts and communications. I helped my boss a lot with just, okay, this is coming up. I need to do a form letter for him because I know, and he really appreciated that I was ahead of the game, and always he didn't have to think about it. You know, I just had it done for him, so that, and that's what you want to try and make your boss look good. So that's what I tried to do, is make my boss look the best that he could be, or she. I've worked for both men and women, and so that the second phase was just an expansion, mostly of just on the budgets and the contract work that I was learning to do, and I was there for 2 years.
Wow.
And then I moved to the next level, which was working for the assistant superintendent for learning and teaching, and that was a bigger job that oversaw the whole department of learning and teaching, and it was a very busy job because people were always coming to me asking, or I was just responsible for the whole department. So whatever problems were happening, or people, for whatever reason, I was always being interrupted, and I felt like by the time it was time to go home, I finally got to start working.
And would it be safe to assume that you didn't receive 3 emails a day, Sandy?
No. No. Probably at least 100 or 150 emails a day.
Yeah. So can you tell us how attention to detail, what a difference that made in each person or each email or each interaction that you had with people?
Well, you have to be clear in your communications, and communicating by email and in writing is, people can take it the wrong way if you don't write it correctly, so just trying to be positive and clear in your communications. Always start out with a positive, and be thankful and grateful for people and what they do. Never taking it, for granted that they know you just don't take people for granted, and
and you probably had to think, because you already said it, but on the forefront of your mind was, I want you. Basically, you were being an advocate for those you were communicating with, because you were putting, how is this going to sound to them? How is it going to land upon them, before you were interjecting your position, right? Your personality, or what it was that you needed them to make sure that they reciprocated, or make sure they turned back in what it is that you needed, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell us how that actually grew you? So in the job, because we don't just have jobs, we don't just have careers, right? Can you share with us how that actually grew you? That and how that prepared you for where it is that you were going to get sent next.
Well, it definitely prepared me. It's like, just writing emails and letters, and it took me a long time at first, because I just put your initial thoughts down, and then you have to fluff it up. I
love it.
I just didn't, or this, maybe it didn't sound quite as clear. Somebody could take it up another way. Yeah.
So you mean like heavy cream needed to turn into whipped cream?
Yeah. Yeah. Fluff it up a bit. Yeah.
Wow, that's
So
great.
it did,
Great advice.
but it was a
So,
different type of a job, definitely from what I'm doing now. But
yeah. So, can you share with us, though, give us some examples, and obviously without names, okay, on situations where in your career, let's say somebody vomited on you verbally. Okay, no. They vomited on you verbally,
uh-huh.
and you knew that career wise, that would not be a wise move to vomit back. And what did you have to do? Like, so here you read it, it goes in through your eye gate. Now it's up in your
Mm-hmm.
mind and it feels like boulders with blades on it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
tell us about some conscious decisions that you had to make that you were not going to turn that into daggers that were flown back their direction, but you had to turn it around. So give us an example of just like, there was a situation and how by doing so, how it changed it. Totally changed everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not. I can think of one situation that it was just a lack of respect toward me, and
Okay.
it wasn't even just toward me. It was um, um, so there were some interviews going on, and the person, the conference room was right next to another room, and that was it was the boardroom
Okay.
anyway, and it was a big interview, and that person just started setting up chairs and making all kinds of commotion in the other room, and um, she was asked not to do that, but she did it anyway, and it was a lack of respect, really.
Uh huh.
Anyway, it doesn't seem like a big thing, but it was totally it was not really acceptable. I'm not really
Okay.
explaining it all that well, but
Okay.
I felt um, it disrespected, I guess, because she didn't really care
Yeah. Yeah.
um, about what was going on in that room, and it made a difference because it needed to be really quiet
Yeah.
for the type of interview that's going on. Anyway, um, and the way I decided to deal with it was I sent her, and I don't like confrontation.
Yeah.
Um, I really felt it needed to be confronted.
Okay.
Um, and so I did, I formed an email, and actually my supervisor read it, and I asked her to tell me because I didn't want to offend her, but I wanted
Yeah.
to get across communication that it wasn't okay.
Uh huh.
Um, and just so anyway, she helped me send that email, and I did, and she took it really well. So
That's good. That's good. And and also, so I've had many speakers share. Our first speaker out of the well, you guys don't know I'm doing several a day, but a couple of days ago when you guys see it on YouTube or whatever, and she shared that when she had initial download, and then she walked out this process, that she got to a place where she put herself in a position of humility so that she
mm,
could take something that came through her, bring it into the eye or ears of somebody else, but also she had to prepare herself for critique, right? So
mm-hmm,
can you share with our viewers the importance of having that humble mindset and also be
mm-hmm.
willing to see the angles or perspective from somebody else and how that's made a difference in you continuing to advance.
Um, well, I'm losing my thoughts here.
Okay, when you were at the end of when you were at the end of self, right? And
Yeah.
you needed others to help you to navigate where it was that you needed to go and how that ultimately benefited you.
Hmm. Well, I think the confrontational email was definitely, um, it got the point across, and
Okay.
I didn't have to say anything further. She just totally got it. But I wasn't a mean email. It wasn't.
Uh-huh.
It was just, but it was confrontational. Um, I'm not really sure.
No, 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 no. That's good. But okay, so this couldn't have been the only thing, right?
No, it's
And
not.
and
No.
so okay, but as you continue to navigate through the different interpersonal,
Hmm.
if it's, you know, okay, so obviously you have to have order. You work for the educational system, for goodness sakes, right?
Hmm.
You can't have a sister in 5 different departments over there, come 6 different departments over here and think she's going to run the show over here, right? So there has to be like set boundaries. So if, and you gave an example of that, right? But and also, you also shared that it's important to try to figure out how to embetter the environment in which you're in, right?
Hmm.
So if a new, so basically you're sharing with viewers how you learn to partner with new thoughts, right? And as you partnered with them and as people saw that it worked, then they can, in essence, you were developing your own reputation by continuing to advance through the different thoughts that you came to embetter and better and better.
Hmm.
And now share with us where you are now, because this didn't just happen.
No.
It didn't. So share with our viewers now.
Well, now I am working in the superintendent's office for the Renton School District, and I support the superintendent and the board of directors. And I've been there for since 2009, so 13 years now. So yeah, that's the. Honestly didn't think I would get that job. In fact, interviews like this is I do not do well on interviews. It's by the grace of God that I got that job. I interviewed and then I just went. I knew I bombed it, but my because of my reputation,
That's
and
right.
that's why I got the job. The interview was terrible, but I did get the job, and I'm very thankful for it. And so yeah, so now I'm working for the superintendent, and I have worked for 5 superintendents now in the last 13 years. And the personalities, well, every supervisor I've worked for, the personalities are all different. And so it's like I've had a time where every 2 years I had somebody new, you know.
Mm.
So that was an adjustment.
That would be a huge adjustment because different personalities, literally,
Yeah.
and probably,
Learning
there,
styles.
yes. And so
Yeah.
you had to continue to adjust your methods, your
Yes.
communication, your body language,
Hmm.
and it's funny because I just can't help but just picture like the movie The Devil Wears Prada, right? And just, got to be on top of your A game, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a journey.
yeah. So can you share with viewers, and no numbers. Okay, I don't want numbers. Okay, the only numbers you could give is a percentage. Okay, but can you share with people? Actually, don't give you decide what verbiage and terminology you're going to use. Okay, but I would like you to share with viewers how, as you continue to fine tune your spirit of excellency, how you continue to not only, because a lot of times promotions may be lateral, But as you continue to adopt a spirit of excellency, not only did you advance, but you advanced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't. All I can say is I went into that position and it was a pay raise for sure. And over the years, it's I attribute it to my tithing.
Okay, great. Break that down. What does that mean? Okay, because we've got viewers who knows what that means, and we got viewers who do not know what that means. So share with us what it is you're about to share with us.
Well, the Bible says, to give your 10%, the first 10%, your tithe to the Lord, and the God will fill your cup to overflowing, and to test Him in it. And I did. I started tithing, and within a short period of time, my salary increased significantly, way more than my tithe. So, way more than my tithe. And in education, that's really not heard of, because they get a set budget.
Yeah.
And, yeah. But in our school district, I think what happened was they were paying certain groups not as much as they should. They were getting paid less than what the surrounding areas were getting paid, and so they were trying to level things out. And in doing that, I ended up getting blessed as well. So, but yeah, it's
And
been.
and I think too that you said something that's really I want to say a key point. Okay, and so potentially having the strong gift of administration. Okay, managerial skills, right? You said something that I think was really profound, and that was, my job is to make my boss look good. Okay, that's not insignificant whatsoever. It is not insignificant. And so can you share with viewers the feeling of satisfaction that you've had in what you're doing?
Well, it does feel nice to be able to do your job the best that you can do, and to be helping your boss look good. And it's very satisfying, and helping other people. And it's just helping other people, and make sure everything is that they have everything they need to do their job to the best they can do. And it's a rolling thing. It just goes all the way down. Being a strong team player, just having strong work ethics, like I said before, just taking pride in my work and what I do, and it all rolls together into a beautiful package. So, and my boss benefits from that. He benefits from how I help him.
And if I think of you go in and let's say you're having a board meeting, I know you have those often, right? And okay, so if something has to get brought in, it has to be arranged a certain way, certain people need to be called at a certain time, and then you sit down and you see the faces around the boardroom table, right? You see the people come in, the people that come in greet you, because Lord knows they've talked to you on the computer through an email, right? And you get to see all of that, and they know the boss didn't do it, but yet you did it for not only the boss but for everybody else, so that things can go smooth.
Yeah, and that's one thing that over the years I've tried. I'm progressively getting better and better and better at setting up the board meetings and inviting people to come and attend, and then sending reminders to them. with the links to the agenda, and just the little tiny pieces that just help everything to run smoothly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, making sure that everybody has what they need, and
Yeah.
there's no glitches.
So what would you say, like,
yeah,
if you were to give like a you know, however many points it looks like to you, how somebody, let's say, you know, first and foremost, I thank you for joining us today for this interview. You know, so somebody may not necessarily want to be out in the front, but because they love their friend, they decided to be out in the front today, right?
right.
How would you encourage the person who's as happy as can be behind the scenes? What words of encouragement would you give to that person today?
What they do is important. It doesn't matter if you're out front, and honestly, people see what you do behind the scenes, because what you do makes a difference in what they do, and they couldn't do their job the way they do it if you weren't there to help, if you weren't there to pull all the pieces together, to organize everything, to make sure they have all of the paperwork they need, the scripts they need, or whatever it is they need. It would not run nearly as smoothly, and you would be dearly missed. So
Yeah.
I really think it's not to ever feel like you're not needed, because your position is a vital role in making your supervisors and whoever you work for look good.
That's
So,
right. And you know,
yeah.
I think in visuals, right? And so as you're talking, and in my mind I'm thinking, what's a visual for this to help like really make this stand out? So hold up your fingers like this. So turn it around the other way. So without her holding up her hand, I could have guaranteed you that her fingernails were painted. Okay. So those fingernails don't exist and look all shiny without the hands behind the fingernails. So that is how vitally important all portions or all
That's good.
segments are. It's, you know, so basically, you know, you've got the feet that move to get the work done. You've got the fingers that are typing to get all the stuff behind the scenes done. You've got the brain that's in movement, and basically the boss is the shiny fingernails. And so there's never anything behind the scenes that isn't needed. There isn't.
That's right.
All things behind the scenes are needed. And, you know, Sandy and I have been friends for 30 years, almost 30 years, pushing 30 years. Okay, somewhere between 25 and push, you know, at past 25. Okay, because I know it was before my daughter Mariah, way before my daughter Mariah. And I have always looked at her in my early stages of Christianity. I would look at her like, oh, she's a mature woman. And I just, everything about her was just like perfect. Everything she did was perfect. You know, she was a perfect cook. She had all of her stuff together. And she's just always been somebody that I've admired. And to any of our viewers who had any part to do with Be the Vessel Now, it is because this woman right here. We spent more time together on the phone, conversing, praying, than probably anybody I have in my adult life. And I just, you know, the value of relationships, the value of the way different people think is so important. And so we've got about another 2 minutes. What would you like to share that is like, you know, I want to share this. What would you share with viewers?
Well, I it took a lot for me to decide to come on to this interview because I didn't feel like I had a lot to share. And I just want to encourage anybody out there who doesn't feel significant or feel important or what they do is important. And that's a lie. That's right. A lie from the enemy. And everybody has different strengths, and God has put you in the place that you're in for a reason to make a difference. And I just want to encourage you to step out like I stepped out for this. Because fear is not something we need to partner with. And that would be a reason I wouldn't have stepped into this, is because of fear. And so I choose not to. And I just, I thank you, Sean, for inviting me and for your confidence in me. You're a good friend and a good inspiration for people. And you definitely have inspired me big time and throughout our friendship and our long friendship. And I love you.
Oh, I love you too. And if I had makeup on, I'd have black streams going down my face right now. So I just thank you. I thank you for coming on today, Sandy Dolph. I thank you for your love. I thank you for your friendship, not just towards me, but I know to trillions of women out there who have engaged you at one moment or another in time. And I'm really looking forward to all the other things that will unfold in your life. I thank you. I honor you. And I know that we have future plans. And I'm holding the Father to those future plans that I've seen, you know.
Amen.
And so I just thank you so much. You know, and to all of our viewers who came on this episode of Sagionic 1027, until our next broadcast, may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon me. Blessings. Bye. Whoops, okay.